Okay, so here we are in the summer of the first year in Wallenstein, and the actions have already been placed out. These are the initial ones that are going to be going, and I've taken the liberty to place all the players' plans, as well as ordering the players at random. And now we pick the event for this turn, and it's a Wutend Barat. I don't know what that means. And again, look here, Wutend, I don't know. Furious farmers. During this season, peasant armies defend their unoccupied provinces with 2 armies instead of 1. Okay. That's, might affect some people's plans because there's a lot of empty areas on the board right now. Alright, well, we've got our order. We know what's going on. People are going to be building troops for the first couple turns, and then we're going to head into military. Okay, after some quick troop production, we saw some actions happening here with the A military action. Let's take a look at the order in which they happened. First, here, red made an attack on Baden, which they lost, and blue still holds it. And blue, oh, that's not blue. Blue came out of Regensburg and ended up taking this from brown. Next, black. Black went from Wolfenbüttel into Lüneburg. Brown had a pass for this. They didn't lose the territory. Well, notice one thing. Black actually had a pass for building a troop, for the build troop for 1 and or make a maneuver. They didn't want to do that. Actually, what it came down to is they didn't have enough cards to do that and the other stuff they wanted to do. And actually, if we reveal their cards, they did no building whatsoever in terms of buildings. So, you know, they had a limited number of provinces, and you start to get less and less actions that you can take as your provinces go down. As we said, brown, yellow went from Vogtland and made an attack into Oberpfalz, dropping the blues out of there, and that's a valuable territory because it has a building in it. In fact, that has currently the most of that kind of marketplace in all of purple. So that's worth kind of a point. Tentatively, somebody may build more. Alright, well, that brings A down. And we flip over another one and get to see where the grain's going to go. And we'll notice something. Some people have lost things that are important to their future just through kind of the random event of someone attacking. The fact that the farmers are upset means that people who were planning on attacking unoccupied areas are a little leery of that. They might as well go after a player with 2 pieces in it because the combat odds are about the same. Okay, now we're going to the buildings, and I'll take care of those. I'll take a moment because we did some building, and some people built items they thought would be valuable. Brown took an interesting tack building a palace here, because it's the only palace in the Österreich. And by doing that, right now they've got a 3-point advantage if scoring were to happen right now. As we noted, some of the people didn't get much grain, and we can see yellow especially is falling behind. Now everybody's probably targeting somewhere over 10 if they're doing at all okay in terms of provinces, because otherwise they might have revolts. People who have very few provinces like black don't need so much, but actually we're seeing some of them have fallen behind in the grain race. And they're going to have to catch that up in the fall because you don't get more actions in the winter, right? All you do is suffer. So that's kind of a worry here. And then if we look at the military actions, red did one out of Mittelmark and attacked Vorpommern and ended up losing, actually. They had good odds and ended up being defeated. So they're kind of at a weakness there. And then we go over to blue, and poor blue. They picked an attack out of Bremen. And Bremen looked like a good choice before. They must make this attack. They don't have to decide how big they're going to do it, though. So they're going to go into Holstein here. There's a lot of yellow pieces. And they got an extra piece in here. So let's see what happens. Well, yellow's going to win that, and I'll take care of the losses there. Humorously enough, after a few more fights, now black ended up getting vault land from yellow. Brown tried to expand into Burgund and failed, but now we're on yellow, and they were planning an attack out of Holstein. They don't have to make it. They can just do a move, which seems wiser at this moment. There's no requirement for an attack. They just have to move out of there, and making a low odds attack on someone seems unwise. It may not if you knew what was in the tower. In the tray they have a couple extra pieces, so in a sense they could have done this at about even odds perhaps, but you know, getting those blue pieces out of there would be a good move, I think. I think I'm going to go for Bremen after all. And blue's going to win that one. I'll recover and put things back. One thing to note though, because there haven't been any revolts, the number of peasants has sort of decreased from the pile because they fought their battles in favor of people. So we're not seeing green counters coming out recently. Now after the winter we probably will. Cleaning up between the seasons, and I noticed one thing. I had marked this particular location, which was to purchase the big army for Brown. They couldn't take the action. They had no cash because they lost their treasury phase. So they ended up with less army, and they're kind of decreasing. They've got these big piles back here and this kind of nice territory, but they didn't get what they wanted, which was to put a bigger army here so that they could try to maybe expand down here and then eventually maybe start connecting themselves back together. It just didn't happen though. So once again, cards laid out. Everybody's made their plans for the turn. They realize this is the turn where the value comes in, so a lot of them are more concentrating on buildings, maybe for the extra bonus points there. Although capturing territory, remember, is worth a point. Buildings you capture are worth a point each. So there's kind of this balance between what you can do, and our event is Palach Wacken. Well, we're going to have to look that one up again. Okay, palace guards. When defending a province with a palace, throw an extra peasant army into the cube tower. Interesting option. That's going to be kind of possible value. I don't know if people are going after palaces this turn. Let's see what happens. Looking quickly at the combats, Brown didn't launch an attack at all. But red launched out of here to take this from black. That gives them control right now of the markets there, and a couple extra points for the territory itself, of course, with its building. Who's next? Next is yellow. Yellow went from Onnesbrook, attacked Bremen again, and failed again. A lot of blue chips in there. Well, there's a lot of yellow kicking around too, and some of them are leaking out now, but you know, failed attacks end up putting more meat into the tower that'll help you, but it doesn't help at that moment, and right now is when you want it to work because it's the victory point phase, right? Coming up. Alright. After that, we hit black. Went from Machen and went and took territory from yellow, valuable territory, including Vienna. And who's next? Blue. Blue went from Strasbourg and attacked Brown here in Breslau and took that as well. So we're seeing some expansion there. Not a valuable place for blue to take terribly. It's worth a point though, and there were only so many things. You know, you have to make your choices with your actions, right? And if Strasbourg was available to attack from, that's where the card was used for. Okay, so that's the end of that card. We'll drop over here. We're moving into taxation. A lot of peaceful stuff happening. There's another war in there, but we know these things are going to be safe until that comes, before that comes up. Well, we've made it up to the other military phase, and we notice one really interesting thing. Black is not producing any troops this turn. Brown ended up having to take a pass on the 1-point troop. Just a matter of things filing out, and there are a lot of people who have failed on the grain production. We see black has way more than they're going to need. Red and blue probably about what they need, but brown and yellow, they may be struggling. I don't know how far down they've gotten. Yellow is at 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 properties. They're definitely not going to meet their grain requirements. Okay, so here on the A cards, brown passed, as did yellow. Red attacked out of Lausitz into Bohemia, failed. Black attacked out of Saxlon into Wurzburg, succeeded, but blue came back out of Hesse-Darmstadt and hit it, and took it back at absolutely no losses, actually, for that second attack. Now we're at just some final building, including some armies at the very end, and then we'll start scoring. And by scoring, of course, I didn't mean actually scoring. I meant we begin the winter turn with its particular effects. And the first one is we pull the event card to see how much grain loss everybody suffers, and that's going to be 3 points on everyone. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're going to see how dangerous grain failure is here, right? Okay. Now we're going to go to peasant revolts. And you have to have a grain point for every province you control. I'm going to do these in player order for the sake of, I guess, whatever. Let's take a look. Alright, well, brown has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 provinces. Only 4 grain. So he's too short. And what's that going to mean? Well, we look here, and I think that means 1 draw with 2 unrest markers. Let's see how this works. Okay, so let's see what we got here. He's going to have 2 of his provinces. Now normally what's kind of cool about this is you'd shuffle and deal them, but given my solitaire situation, that doesn't really work well. So Tyrol's going to revolt, and Constance. Okay, now let's take Tyrol was the first picked, so we'll take that first. It has no unrest markers, but it'll get 2 additional peasants added to what he has in Tyrol, and everything here. And green and brown are the active colors. And we got 1 green getting killed by brown, and actually I believe his army has grown in Tyrol. Of course, that's taking stuff out of the tower, right? Okay, so that's Tyrol. And Constance, similarly, wow, there's a lot here. There's going to be 2 green tokens added because of the winter revolt. We add to them these. And now a lot of green came out. 3 greens. So 3 browns are going to be dead. But that left 2 behind. Now, he's just lost a lot here, but that's okay. Alright, well that's brown's failure. Let's take a look at our next player, red. He may have problems. It looks like he has a lot of provinces. Well, first of all, there's 10 right here. Got one for each. Does he have more? Yeah, he's up to 11 provinces. And he doesn't have 11. In fact, he's 1, 2, 3 behind, which puts him on the next table down. Ooh, I cheated. Brown should have only lost 1 province in revolt. Oh well. That's going to be 2 provinces with 2 markers, which is essentially what I hit Brown with, right? Okay, well, with 11 things, I don't have... Hold on for a moment. So here's a serious problem with the tower, right? If I rolled a die and got a result, I could back it up real easy. I can't back up the tower. I screw something up with the tower and I have to keep going. So Brown, you know, they drew twice. Well, it's too late. And that's why I don't really like mechanisms that are kind of black boxes, which this essentially is. It's like playing in a computer game. If you screw something up, it's hard to go back. You have to actually save and do all those kinds of things. Well, in this case, I can't fix Brown. And if I was playing with a group of people, we would all kind of sit around and say, well, I don't know what to do. Do we call the game or just keep going? And we probably could keep going. So I actually shuffled the deck and used it for red because I didn't have that. Middle mark is our first one. And that's going to go into revolt. It only gets the base 2 because there are no things in there, but I've got a pile of counters to grab from here. I forgot one. Oh boy. So 2 green came out, which will kill a couple of red, but there's a lot of red that fell out. More than I put in, which means red's kind of losing some of their bank that's in here. It's hard to tell though, because are they really losing it? I mean, it's going back on the board, right? Alright, so that was middle mark, and now the other one is this gaffed mark. Now that's going to have 2, but it also gets 1 for that revolt counter. And whatever the event was before, this is red. And red loses 2 to the greens. And they get to here where they went, which was up here. And you have to kind of remember where you went from. It's not terribly hard there, but okay, what about yellow? How many they got? 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Anything in the background? Okay, so it looks like they need to have 8 food. And they don't. They have 2. They're down 6. That means they're going to get 2 picks at +3. That's not so terrible. With 8, I can use a die. We're going to pick Holstein. 3 and Bohemia. Yeah. That doesn't, I mean, it just doesn't seem that terrible. Holstein, let's start there. Ooh, there's almost nothing there. And 3 green pieces are going in, along with whatever I find here. And let's see, 3 greens. Kill 3 yellows, and there's going to be a yellow piece left here in Holstein, which is what we had. And in Bohemia, well, we got 3 plus 1 is 4 green pieces will be added to the pot. Whatever's here. And the greens wiped the yellows out. There are no additional greens, no big deal there. But this area is devastated. The marketplace dies. Harsh. Okay. And that's the end of yellow. Now let's see black. Black, I don't believe they have 15 provinces. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's about it. I got one more sitting in here, 8. But they're fine. They're fed. They have no revolts. Okay, and then finally blue. Blue may be in a bit of trouble here. 2, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, I don't think they quite hit 8. They hit 7, so they're at the 1. They're going to get one of their provinces hit with one thing. And I roll a 7, it's going to be Hesse-Darmstadt. They get an extra one because there's a revolt there. So 2 green go in. 2 blues are killed, but they're still on the board there. Now, it's time to go to counting the points. And we flip through these rules, and again, feels like there should be some sort of player aid here to help with all this, right? Especially if you're stuck with a photocopy of the rules. You get a point for every province and building. And then in the 5 larger regions, see who has the most of these. 3 for palaces, 2 for churches, and 1 for marketplaces. In ties, everybody gets 1 less. And the points are added together. Okay, well, I think I'm going to have to do these without watching. Let's add up 1 players and see what happens. Let's pick Brown to begin with. Okay, well, Brown has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 points to begin with. Okay, but then he has some additional points. He's got the most most palaces here, so that brings him up to 16. In Österreich, he has the most markets. Nobody else has 2. He does not have the most palaces, so he's up to 17. Over here, he doesn't have the most churches. Up here, he doesn't have the most markets. So it looks to me like Brown's going to have 17 points. And I'll do everybody's points and come back in a moment. Okay, so after the first year, Red's in the lead with 21 big points. And this is really their ability to dominate this area and build buildings really helped them. They grabbed other people's buildings. Really a powerful stance. They also had... No, that didn't help them. I hope. Not sure. Yeah, they didn't have any other bonus points on top of the buildings that they had. Black comes in second with 19. And Black kind of focused on not expanding so much, but building up their Saxon territory, for example. And they also got this big grab here, which was worth a couple points for the church that they stole. Other people, Brown is at 17, still kind of in it, but they're in a really weak board position at this point, other than these piles they have. At least it looks like it to me, I can't tell you. Yellow, surprisingly, the failures that they had up here in Bremen repeatedly is probably a big issue with it, but they're falling well behind. And blue, you know, blue board-wise looked like they were doing okay, but they just didn't score the points. They don't have the buildings to enhance the property that they grabbed. All right, so now, after we do the victory points, we remove all the peasant unrest markers, and we're heading into another turn. I'm going to need 2 hands to do this reasonably. But basically, we don't start the whole game over, but we do everything we did before from this new starting location. And there's going to be 1 more scoring round, and that's the game. And I'll load this up.